Hey everybody, it's me. Please hit that subscribe button, the like button, that notification bell, or whatever you can do on whatever podcast platform that you are on. Interact with us. Leave comments. Share it with your friends. Share it with your enemies that you might want to be friends with again. They might hate you more. It doesn't matter. Do it anyway. We would appreciate that. And we do appreciate you. Thank you. Now on to the show.
They're moving into the gate. Open range.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very, very special edition. I feel like I said that a lot, but this is a special edition.
Special edition.
Yep, that's right, it is, because it's always special with us. But this is our wrapping up the year.
2020 wrap up.
2020 wrap up, which sounds like good news to most people.
I think to everybody.
Well, okay, but let's just think out of the ashes of a terrible thing came a phoenix called the Triple Clowns. We came out of this.
Oh my God.
We did. We started.
I think on the
because-
list of things that came out of 2020, like the worst, COVID's the worst thing, and then
Triple Clowns is the best.
no sports was second, and then right about third or fourth is the Triple Crowns.
The
podcast.
creation of Triple Clowns.
Yeah.
No, but in all seriousness, yes, we did start right after when we were quarantined.
When
We
we
came
started
out of
our
it.
7-year Derby trail, I think back then.
Yes, exactly. We started the Derby Trail. We've done a lot of things. We met a lot of people. I would like to start by saying thank you to Sarah Marie and AJ Ryder for being along for this ride, because these guys knew nothing before. And they've learned a lot, and we've had a lot of fun. And we met a lot of great people this year. We have to admit, one thing with 2020 was that, and we're going to go into that. So thank you guys for that. Obviously, I mean, by next year, I'll probably hate you both more than I already do. But
Feelings mutual. You know that, right?
You're behind the curve there.
I know.
yeah,
You're just
well,
now
see,
joining
I'm the
this
nice
bandwagon.
guy on this whole thing.
I'm the captain of the train. I brought AJ on a little bit ago.
Okay. Well, yeah, I actually think AJ hated me before you, but that's all right.
Ooh, I don't know. I've known you longer.
That's true.
That's a tough call there.
Which by default means she probably hated you longer first.
This is true. But anyway, but in all seriousness, 2020 Triple Clowns was created, and we've done some really cool things, I think, and you guys have come a long way, like I said, and I appreciate that in all seriousness. And it's nice that I gave you guys a compliment and you just really dogged me.
That's how we work.
You're fishing for one, and you're not.
I wasn't. I was
coming
That's
being-
up
how
empty.
it works.
I
You know
was
that.
being nice.
Have you met us? Come on now. You
Yeah,
know how this works.
unfortunately, I have.
Randy's really in the holiday spirit, where he's like trying to let's
I
put
know.
it
He's like,
together.
I was
and
trying to-
"And
I was trying to-
2020 's gonna
Sarah
be
just like,
fun."
let's get this shit over
Yeah,
with.
yeah.
I was trying to thank you guys, and you just punched me in the face.
Well,
It's
thanks
okay.
to you for dragging us
Listen.
along your horse racing journey, and I don't know. what to tell
Dragging you along. All right,
Thanks
all
for
right.
teaching me this sport that's cost me thousands of dollars.
And now he's a
Welcome to the
degenerate
club.
that plays Funner Park on a Monday.
There.
Yes, so let's go right into it. Our 2020 recap. Let's talk about it for everybody out there that's watched our show. Thank you, and we appreciate you. And these are some highlights that we've done a lot. We've talked to a lot of people, and we couldn't include everybody in these highlights.
No, how many episodes have we done? That would be a
I
long
don't know.
wrap up.
It would be terribly wrong as well.
Wrong.
But in all seriousness, so we're going to go over some of our, and if you're a new listener, hit that like, subscribe, and all those other good things to follow us and watch these interviews.
Yeah,
Even
go
if you're
back
an
and
old
watch 'em.
person,
Yeah.
that's not old person, an old viewer that's
An
been-
old fan of ours.
that has watched our other things.
You just couldn't get that one off, could you?
I couldn't. I
He's
still, I'm
struggling
still-
today.
Still can't figure out a word for
It's
it.
the end of
Still
2020.
mumbling
He's
on it.
not. He might not make it.
Even if you're
2021.
already a fan, go back and watch some of these great videos that we've had.
There you go. Thank you for that sound clip, AJ. But let's talk about them. So let's go over our best moments. I know we have some out there. I'm going to start.
You start with
I'm going to start with one of my favorite moments of 2020 is obviously going to be when we started, when we got AJ Ryder aboard.
Yeah,
I just found out that was actually like
three episodes in because he was a little too scared to join 1 and 2.
Yeah,
think.
well,
I was busy.
kind of like that. So anyway, let's check that out. Let's welcome to the show our third and definitely the biggest clown of the bunch to make the Triple Clowns, AJ Ryder. Thanks for joining us finally.
Finally, I'm here. And I'm excited about this. You know, there's no sports going on in the world. I mean, horse racing and NASCAR is the only thing left. And here we are because I have nothing better to do with my life.
Okay, so that was AJ coming on. AJ has learned a lot and lost a lot of money since then.
You're welcome.
Yes, and that was great because I mean you can hear how we were.
Oh God, and I don't like looking
idiots.
back. Yeah.
Well,
Like,
that
look,
was
at
also,
look at how production. Yeah, he did have a mullet.
I think I had one then. I was growing.
I was not quite. I haven't quite yet earned the title of Mrs. Big News.
and
That was terribly uncomfortable.
also, I believe in that episode, my top 5 Derby picks were based off of Batman winners, and
They were.
it was like if Candy Tycoon was in there and
Yep.
on the Sugar High, and then we go from that, and then the 7-year-long Derby Trail where we got to watch like the story of Authentic. I fell in love with a certain filly, and it's been a really crazy to see that compared to now. It's pretty nuts to think about where we're at.
It actually really is the evolution of AJ Ryder as a degenerate horse racing player. And really got into it. Like, and all of a sudden he's
Passionately.
screaming about times to us at this point. The guy who said
Not even just
Secretariat
to us.
didn't win the
Just
Kentucky
he
Derby
screams to our fans
back to back
or our guests.
because Secretariat was dead. That's why he didn't win back-to-back derbies.
can't believe that
Now
didn't make
he's
it here.
screaming to us about time form and quarters and how they came home. It's pretty amazing. So anybody out there that actually thinks, "Oh, I can't get into this. This is too much."
Yeah.
Just watch from here to now, and you'll
Watch that first episode and realize that a couple months later he called the Kentucky Derby winner at 8-1.
He did. This is a true story.
Yeah, that is
As
true.
did myself. Sarah didn't, but that's okay. All right.
I
We'll go
took the
into that
law.
a little bit later. So, AJ, what about you? What was a memorable moment for you in 2020, one of our interviews?
Well, I think one of the ones that stands out to me that I wasn't, I guess, directly involved in is when we had I don't know, I guess would you call him a former colleague of mine? I guess we did.
I know where you're going.
I guess we did compete in this sport at separate times, but I think one of the big moments was Todd Schrupp coming in and giving us the lowdown on his epic showdown with Jerry the King Lawler, and not only, you know, breaking kayfabe and giving us the insights of that whole ordeal that no one had ever heard before. That was record-breaking stuff. So let's check that out.
All right.
So we went from this, I'm in a limo, I'm like all excited, to now like, oh my gosh, I'm in such trouble here. So about 10 minutes later, somebody came down and said, Jerry the King Lawler is up in the dining room and he'd like to meet you. I said, okay. So I walk up there, he steps away from the table. He is the nicest guy I've ever met.
Yep.
And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm only doing this because of AJ. AJ said I could. There are secrets to the trade, and I've only told this story in private. I've never told it in any type of setting like this for the masses to hear. So he steps away from the table, nicest guy on the planet. And he goes, here's how it's going to go. You're going to have a partner, and that partner is going to abandon you late in the match. And I'm going to, now it's just you and I in the ring. I'm going to kick you in the stomach. Like, okay. You're going to bend over. You're going to take your head. You're going to tuck it up under my legs. I'm going to lift you vertical. And when we drop down, that's the pile driver. Like, okay. And your head will hit my legs, so it won't hit the ring. I'm like, okay. And then you'll be laid out. I'm like, okay, I think it still sounds pretty athletic beyond what I'm capable of. He goes, well, let's try it. I'm like, what do you mean, let's try it? He's like, well, here, tuck your head up under my legs. So we're standing next to his dining table. I tuck my head under his legs. He lifts me up. He gets like my feet six inches off the ground, and he goes, how much do you weigh? Like, I weigh 240. He's like, okay, let's try it again. He gets me halfway this time. So he's got my waist up. He's like, all right, I think we can do it. What do you think we can do it? Like, okay, I guess this is how it's going to go. So that was the last I see him. So I've never wrestled in my life. Don't know the choreography of it. So they probably have, I'd say 300 people there. They love Jerry the King. I walk in, I'm wearing a bathrobe, I'm wearing a fishing hat, I'm holding up a regular belt as my championship belt. I selected my music. I chose Thunder by AC/DC because of that line. We went to Texas. Yeah, Texas. We had some fun. So here we are, Sammy East Park, Texas. And I'm like, this is pretty cool. And everybody hated me. There wasn't one person who's like, all right, Todd from TVG. Like, now I might actually have 30% of the crowd might be in my favor. But nobody knew who like. They just wanted to see a guy be pile driven by Jerry the King.
That was good with Todd telling us that he got pile drive in a restaurant. And we met Todd before.
We did. And
he's a big man.
Yeah.
He's not a small guy.
He's tall.
He's very tall. He's taller than me.
It kind of changes the whole story for me after I met him.
Like 6'4", 6'5", and him getting pile drive in a restaurant by Jerry the King Lawler, which is funny because I feel like that would be the greatest part of the story. And we heard it here on Triple Clowns.
Well, let's be honest. I think, that was the first time he ever, got exposed to that business, and the way he handled himself and the way everything went. I mean, if he wasn't on TVG, the dude's got a career in wrestling. I'm just saying.
His promos he did for that, I thought were fantastic.
Let's go to that promo right now.
Okay, Lawler, it's on, but answer me this. Can you handle it?
And that is the guy you watch with a suit on.
Yeah.
On
All
TV.
proper, talking horses. Come on, Todd.
Great guy.
We know
Todd,
the real Todd now. We know. We got it.
We love you, Todd. All right, let's move on.
Well, one of my favorite moments this year, I just have 3 words for Randy. Playa.
I know where she's going with this one.
Ken Rudolph, giving it to you. I love that. Randy's trying to talk music, asking him questions. Randy has no idea about music.
What do you mean I have no idea about music?
Oh, really? Should we play the clip?
Play
Yeah.
Player. Wait a minute, player.
When you were
Player. There's
playing...
a thing called Google. Are you telling me you didn't Google to find out the names of the bands that I'm in and the songs that I have written? Are you serious, man?
No, I saw them. I just don't know how to word it right. That's what I'm saying. I was the one who listened to it. I heard it. I
am about to motherfucker you up and down this whole microphone.
All right, so remember that time you bet Giacomo
No, man, I'm just messing with you.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. Okay, see, I think I knew about music. I was trying to make conversation there.
Yeah.
You tried to make a conversation when he distinctly told you not to go there.
You know what?
Then
What's
he
actually
followed
really
it up
funny?
with another question.
Ken Rudolph and I have on going back and forth with best rap album fights now and everything.
Sure.
So, and I totally think when he said the Chronic was better than Tribe Called Quest, Low End Theory, I think I won that battle. So anyway, but Ken always ready to go. And
that whole first interview, there's a lot of gems in there. One that we've talked about on our show many times. That you can find in there too. So if you haven't already watched that,
watch that because
I feel like that's
AJ's
the
right,
Easter egg of this. I feel like that's the one we want to talk about, but we're not gonna. You're gonna have to go back to the Ken Rudolph interview and find out what the Easter egg is and tell us. Because
let us know in the comments below if you found it.
If you listen to the interview, you found it.
It sticks out like a sore thumb. So if you miss it, you didn't watch it. So
all right. Okay, so I'm going to go with a funny moment that I think was just funny and nothing to do with horse racing at all. And
sort of.
No, we thought it might be horse racing. And this is AJ when he went out into a tornado and ran around. One of my favorite moments of the year because I kind of hoped he got sucked up and went to Oz. But yeah, so let's check that out.
Sucked up in the tornado? Record this.
Yeah, move your. Oh, he's going outside.
No,
Holy shit.
That's a good idea. Go outside during the tornado. Here you go, Alex. Please run towards it. What are you going to do with the horses? Go jump on a horse and run around. Do it. What is he doing? We can't hear. Is he riding a horse? Is he riding a horse right now?
AJ Ryder. No, prepping.
Watch him die.
He's gonna be on The horse. That four-fifth horse.
What were you doing out there?
You okay?
I wanted to see how windy it was. It's pretty windy.
Don't ever question my commitment to this show as I sat there in the faces of danger, put my life on the line to do our show. I just want to say that right there.
Thank you, AJ. I love your commitment.
Yeah, I don't think anybody asked you to do that, but
No?
that's okay. Listen,
I appreciate you taking us on that journey.
can you imagine when there's not COVID going on, how the show's going to go?
Yeah.
Fate rarely calls upon us at the moment of our choosing. And right then and there, I had to make a decision. Am I gonna brave this out and nut up or shut up at that point in time is what it was like. And you know what?
Yeah.
Like Authentic at the Derby and the Breeders' Cup, man, just came through strong.
Yes.
Nicely put.
Yes, you did. All right.
Oh my God.
On from that one.
Ah.
Another great moment. AJ, what do you think?
All right, I got one. So this one was recently. This one was during our 12 match races of Christmas segment. And this was a friend of our show, Mark Patterson, came on and had told us prior to he was going to take Sarah as his opponent. And for reasons that I still don't quite understand, he decided that he was going to take me instead. But what made this moment special to me was if you watch it all the way to the very end, the moment when Mark Patterson looks at me after a very heated debate, like in Queen's Gambit, the old Russian guy reaching his hand across the table to the whatever the girl's name is, Anna Taylor-Joy, and saying, draw. And he knew that I was his equal.
A little searching for Bobby Fischer
He
as
said
well.
that
They
was
did
our
that. Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
All right, let's check
to
that.
us.
Let's check that out when Mark calls out AJ.
Are you looking ready to go, man? Let's get it on.
No, I'm trying to make this.
You have already infuriated me.
I was trying to make this as
Actually, I'm the more mile of a quarter arguer, but
I was trying to make this as even of a match. That's why I wanted to see.
Get the viewers up. Before we started, AJ was talking smack about coming to West Virginia to engage in some kind of a tough man contest. AJ, I got your tough man right here. Come on over, dude. Step to me.
We might have put in the censored version there.
I think it's safer for our audience for the censored.
When have we ever censored anything on here?
Well, I mean, I guess the
This
edited
episode
version.
was a fun to edit. Needless to say, because you guys did not stop.
I'm putting that on Mark though.
I'm gonna put on both of you.
Yeah, okay. You can blame Mark all you want, but that was great. Calling out AJ.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, I still am a little disappointed he didn't pick me because I was ready. But you know what? That was pretty good. That was pretty good.
Hey, you want to be the man, you got to beat the man.
There you go.
Exactly.
AJ taking on the king of the mountain.
Speaking of call outs, I feel like Sarah's chomping at the bit for this one of her favorites.
Yeah, I want to bring up the one where Sarge is telling us his story working with Gary Stevens and how many times Gary Stevens went up to Sarge and said, "Let's take a walk."
Let's take a walk. That was one of the greatest moments, greatest stories.
Yeah.
Here's Gary Stevens, Hall of Fame jockey, and Sarge.
Sarge is another one I met, and he is very tall.
He's a big man. Sarge is a big man.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. And here's Gary Stevens. No fear.
No fear
Let's
at
take
all.
a walk, Sarge. And
A couple times.
A couple
like throughout the years of their careers together.
that was a great story by
Yeah.
Sarge. Let's check it out.
I must have let out some expletives that just weren't appropriate. Horse got beat. I went down and asked Gary, and he said, horse didn't feel right. Okay. Well, about 5 weeks later, there was an Outback Steakhouse in Arcadia. Gary Stevens sitting at the bar, right? So I walk in. I'm with a friend of mine, and I'm like, "Hey, Gary, how you doing? Gary's my guy, right? I mean, we're cool, right?" I said, "Hey, Gary, how you doing?" Takes a sip of his beer, puts it down on the table, and I'm like, Jesus. He goes, "You got a minute?" I'm like, "Sure." So is everything okay? And he goes, "Let's take a walk." Okay, here we go. I swear to you, we walk into the bathroom. He goes, listen to me. And he had a couple of drinks. He said, listen to me. And he like looked up at me and he pointed his finger at me and he didn't touch me. He said, listen to me, man. He goes, I rode that horse for you a little over a month ago, and I rode my ass off for you. But he goes, I had a couple of friends that were watching that race with you and heard the things you said about me. And I mean, at that point, I'm like, do you believe him? He goes, they're my friends. I'm like, look, man. He goes, listen. He goes, I ever ride for you, you know I'm going to give you 100%. I don't need to hear any bullshit. If the horse isn't right, he isn't right. And you know damn well that horse was bleep, 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 bleep. And I'm like, with all due respect, that horse was not that bad. But he goes, just don't do it again. And that was that.
So what would you guys think if you saw Gary Stevens and Sarge walking to the bathroom? You're in that restaurant, you're in the bar watching this go down. Are you think I'm thinking like, oh God.
I think they're gonna have to go to the bathroom. I think they gotta piss. Yeah.
Well, guys don't usually go in herds, so it'd be a little.
Yeah, that's a female thing.
That could be same time.
I'd be like, what, Sarge? What did you do now?
Well, yeah, but I don't think they have a bad relationship.
No, I don't think it's a bad relationship.
2 times over like 20 years. It's just funny.
It's just funny, and it's a funny visual.
But when you think about it, Gary Stevens, I mean, and most of these jockeys, but especially Gary Stevens, who's the bionic man.
I was gonna say we should put it the bionic man and Sarge.
How would you be like? How could you be afraid of anything if you're Gary Stevens? Correct.
I don't think he was the one that was afraid. I think Sarge would have.
Well, no, I know. Might have been
afraid.
Why wouldn't he be like, hey, let's take a walk? And he goes into the bathroom. I mean, Gary
like,
Stevens
I'm going to get
afraid.
jumped. Sarge is going to get jumped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I would have to go in there and protect Sarge from Gary Stevens at that point.
Yeah, I think so too.
No, but it was
at that point. I'm just taking bets with people at the bar and who comes back.
Well, and two passionate people about the sport. That's really kind of really funny. Obviously, we had Gary on, and he's a great guy, but Gary's not afraid of mixing it up.
No, he's not.
Sarge isn't afraid of mixing it up as well. So it's kind of funny though. Gary Stevens, let's take a walk.
Let's take a walk.
Yeah. All right. So I know we have a million of them.
I think we should honor an individual right now.
I think so too.
This guy was a honorary clown for the better part of this year, and he showed up in a pool on occasion, a whole bunch of different venues. To be honest, he got in a great argument with Sarah. Gave her the I got 2 words for you. Just dropping knowledge and suck it signs. I think Ryan Dickey deserves to be honored here. So
yeah, let's show a couple clips of Ryan Dickey right now. I agree.
Our next guest on the Triple Clowns Kentucky Derby show, and the best guest we're going to have all day, from Timeform US, everybody's favorite figure maker, Craig Milkowski.
Everybody's favorite, the best figure maker. And
best.
Hey guys, happy to be here. As you can see, with the suit, look at him. Look at him, straight
Our
pimping.
Honorary clown in the pimp suit.
Ryan Dickey, the sharp-dressed man. Got the ZZ Top beard going and everything. Love it.
Welcome, Ryan. It's my COVID beard. I'm a fan of the COVID beard. It was itchy for a while, but now it's
coming in.
Yeah, once you get past a certain point, I feel like it just becomes a part of you.
Well, I mean, this might be a long-term decision right here.
It should be.
Okay, so judgment is in. AJ and I went back and forth, and as you can see, Sarah's giving me a dirty look right now. So she's obviously heard our judgment, which is with Silver Charm.
Losers.
We're going with Silver Charm catching. So winning code is at the wire.
I would have to say that is probably the nicest way to say suck it to somebody, because he's so upbeat about it.
Yeah, but the intent behind it, the intent behind it was so just savage.
Ryan Dickey deep down is just a loathing, angry.
Lovely piece of shit, angry guy.
I can't picture this at all.
No, I don't think Ryan's like that.
No.
But no, that was right. Ryan always coming through, jumping in the pool. I wonder if Craig Milkowski was uncomfortable during that interview.
I wonder if Craig has nightmares.
Well, he came back on later, so
that's true. I'm not going to say he liked it, but he was okay with it.
Craig did say, I will not come back on unless Ryan is not on the show, especially after the Christmas card we sent Craig.
I'm going to go with one, guys, right now that I remember, if I remember correctly, and I believe I do, and he's been great on the show and he's got a ton of them, but I'm going to go with one that is a little more emotional. And when Vic Stauffer talks about his earthquake call, I'm bringing everybody down a little bit here in a sense, because we're being all funny and happy, but this was a very special thing, I believe. Vic's earthquake call when he talks about his father and everything. I think this was a very emotional moment, and also one of the greatest calls of all time, I believe. And it was Vic Stauffer's earthquake call. Vic, what was going on with that earthquake call? How are you feeling then?
That was a wild day. They turned into the backstretch, and to give you a little bit of perspective, the announcer's booth at Hollywood Park was one of the best that I ever have been lucky enough to work in that it's on top of the roof. It was on top of the roof, a freestanding booth all of its own. It wasn't connected to any other part of the press box, and nobody could sneak up on you because they would have to walk all the way across the roof on this catwalk where you could hear them coming. But Hollywood Park was also a 75-year-old racetrack. At that time, it was like 65 years old. And so you would feel tremors all the time. And if the wind blew hard, the roof would shake. So I knew very early on, even before you could see it on camera, that we were having an earthquake. I knew it was coming. And I thought, to be very honest with you, I thought I was going down with a ship, because it was 4.9 out in Indio or whatever Richter scale, but it felt like 8.9 at Hollywood Park.
Wow.
And so I'll give you a little insight of something that not a lot of people know about that race call. When they go into the far turn, earlier that season, actually on opening night of that season, I lost my father. And so I'm getting a little choked up now, but so when they were going into the far turn, and I truly believed that was it for me, my dad came into my mind. And so when I say in that race call, I just want you to know that I love you all and horse racing was my first love. That was sort of edited on the fly because I thought about saying something to my father. And I realized while I was saying that if I died, this was going to be the greatest race call ever. But if I didn't die, it was going to come across pretty schmaltzy. So I figured, let's go with the percentages. I'm not going to die. And so instead of saying, Dad, I love you and I miss you and I'm coming to join you, I switched it and I said, I want you people to know that I love you all and horse racing was my first love.
And we are in the midst of an earthquake here in Southern California as Lady LeCaine goes past the half-mile pole, and Lady LeCaine is the leader. 2.5 lengths further back. By the way, folks, I want you to know I loved you all, and horse racing was my first love.
That's sort of a inside story about the earthquake call.
Pleasant Thunder alongside these two come to the wire in a shaker.
Yeah, that was a great call. And you wonder when he was like, in a shaker, when does that process in your head, do you guys think? And we should have probably asked him that. Like, are they coming on the stretch and he's thinking about that? Or is that like straight up off the rip? I believe Vic Stauffer, and we could probably show 5 clips proving that he is an improv magician.
Well, the whole time we had him on the show, and even after too, he's always been awesome to be on. But just the mindset of when that was going on, just like I remember when he was telling it was just like, what a badass. Like you're going down like that,
and then for me, I'm going down.
You know what? This is my swan song here, so it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah,
like having that kind of like all go through your head at that same time.
Because if Vic's gonna go out, he's gonna go out in the middle of calling a race.
How awesome was that?
But I do have to comment. I know we brought this up a couple times when he said on his final call for Hollywood that some people have said that wasn't a great call and that he missed miss like capturing the race. And the more and more you watch it, the more I think it's such BS for those people to be saying. I think it's the most beautiful way to close out the history of a track.
But I also,
if you're questioning Vic Stauffer, I think you're the one that's probably.
That is true.
well, and,
That is
and I
true.
also think it's one of those things where everybody has to realize where everybody learns in anything like hospitality wise, just say, kind of like when you perform, when somebody has a bad experience, they remember it for 7 years. Somebody has a good experience, they remember it for 7 weeks. It's kind of like that, where you hear the people saying, oh, that sucked. And it was probably 3 people,
Yeah.
4 people, whatever it was, compared to thousands that didn't. But that's the thing that people need to realize. These people that are doing it, putting it on the line, they hear those more.
It's
So
true.
I don't believe that most people, I know it hurt him and he saw those things,
Yeah,
but
'cause
I
he put
can't
so much,
imagine.
like, his passion into that, making sure that like that final call was going to be epic. And I think he
I can't
hit that out of
imagine
the
though.
ballpark there.
I can't imagine.
I mean,
that.
I didn't know what else would people would have expected. I mean,
Yeah,
that's a lot to. It's a lot to ask somebody too, just on top of all that.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's the last race at Hollywood Park.
And I do wonder.
And there's not like there's a blueprint for him to go about doing that either. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like that's all like, choices you have to make. And then
But I do wonder if Vic was wearing his lip gloss during that call.
This is true.
So we've had a few jockeys on our show, and one of the first jockeys we had, his story still like kind of chokes you up a little bit. His passion and the fact that he just gives out his phone number for and help on anything when it comes to addiction. But that is Gerard Milan. When we had him on our show, what a incredible story, and someone who just kept fighting when the system just seemed to be fighting against him.
Yeah, he had some great stories, and he was the first jockey I believe we had on. I think that is true. He was the first jockey we had on. And yeah, what an amazing guy. And his story was pretty incredible. Almost so long ago it feels. It should be brought up again. And if you haven't heard that story,
It's a good pick-me-up story. So if you're kind of feeling down in the dumps, you can just, I guess for a really cheesy thing to say, he took lemons and made lemonade out of his life. And with his wife staying by his side the whole time. And now I think he's 50 wins away from hitting 5,000. 43 now.
43 what? So let's check that out.
The racing commission, when they have somebody with a drug problem, they contact me and stuff. And like somebody got a second bad test, they get 6 months suspended. They contact me to get in touch with them and, help them find the right path. And I'm always willing to do that,
That's great.
Because when I help somebody, it helps me, gives me gratitude,
Yes,
and,
exactly. That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
Great.
Yeah, that's amazing. Is there anything? Is there something out there they can go to? Do you have something or anything?
Oh yeah, we have we have a counselor twice a week on the back side, and he's actually become a personal friend of mine, and we'll get them involved in that. The guys that are getting bad tests or the guys that want to get help, it's free. The racetrack pays for it, and it's free, which is a big plus because rehabs are high, and I got access to a couple of rehabs in Louisiana that's state funded. So most of the guys that decide they want to get help are broke, like I was. They can't afford. Their life's in shambles, and we get them started if that's what they want. With rehabs for people that need it, not for people that for people that want it, not for people that need it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because if you don't want it, you ain't gonna get it. So you pretty much have to be at the bottom of the barrel to be successful in rehab, I find.
Okay, so anybody that wants to get a hold of that, if anybody's listening, a jockey or somebody in the industry, or I guess anybody, where can we tell them to? Can we just tell them to get a hold of you on like Twitter or something, or do they have a website?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
I got a Twitter, got my phone number. Everybody got my phone number.
Well, what do you say after that?
Incredible story, incredible guy. I mean,
yeah,
just especially when you go back and listen to the whole thing, it's the way he was, blackballed out of Kentucky and just
For so long. I can't.
for a
I still
long
can't believe
time.
that. Yeah.
And still, I think a lot of people look to be like, well, what do I do here now? Do I try something else? But now, dude, just
He knew he wanted to be a jockey, and now
Tap
it's
at it.
kind of neat. He gets to race with his son, and sometimes race against his son. But what an
quite a
incredible
bit
story.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it was. Incredible guy. You just see he's happy, sober, living life, and good for him. Good for him.
So yes, if you guys have any issues with sobriety, definitely reach out to Gerard. He's an open book and encourages people to reach out to him if you're struggling with anything.
Well, I think maybe the biggest moment for us, as much as we've been handicapping, and especially for me personally, because this was a big deal for me when this happened, was kind of the coronation of the Triple Clowns as like legit cappers when the entire world was picking Tiz the Law and whoever else was in the Kentucky Derby. But myself, and then, Randy did too, Sarah didn't, putting our belief on the line that we had at the beginning of the year and saying, Authentic's our guy. We're not concerned about the distance. This is his race. And, when he stuck it to Tiz the Law in that Kentucky Derby, man, that was huge. But it was so satisfying after when we called that race, and especially the way, I cut it up and I watch it at least a couple times a day. I don't know if it's clip will show, but calling the race is how we did. I think that was huge for us, I think, this year.
No, it was. And if everybody remembers correctly, it was my first pick in our draft was Authentic back in the day. And AJ can say he could have had a pick. He would have picked him too. So I can't say that because I picked before him. Sarah did pick Tiz the Law. But even beyond that, it was cool. And if anybody wants to go back to it, when we had people such as like Joe Moran on, and he gave us the smooch story with the earplugs in the ear. And that's why everybody was off of him. So if everybody listened to the Triple Clowns at that point,
you would have a winner.
We actually had that broken down that the horse was getting smooched with earplugs in. And we knew that straight from Bob Baffert, by the way. We heard this story and it was right. It wasn't some made up story, apparently, because he looked pretty good after that. And yeah, that was great. So let's check out that clip of us picking the Kentucky Derby winner.
Now, the big one to me, and we'll talk about it with all our guests, and we're going to talk about it, I'm not just wearing this hat because my racehorse was kind enough to send it to me. I honestly think Authentic and Nadal were my number ones back when we first started this whole thing 7 years ago. And Authentic to me has done nothing wrong, as opposed to Tiz the Law, who's just beaten, I don't know, subpar fields. And has looked really great in perfect trips. But again, this is the Derby. There's 18 horses. I don't think he's going to get that perfect trip. Authentic, however, is just, I think there's another gear there we have yet to see. And again, maturity is the big thing we've been waiting for. And I think if you listen to the connections that we were going to talk to today, maturity is all he's gotten. Coming down the stretch, San Felipe tried to pull towards the carving station. Beat Honor AP that day, by the way, just throwing that out there. Tried to pull toward the carving station, hardly ran. Haskell, earplugs in. I mean, when you watch Authentic come down the stretch against New York traffic or NY traffic, NY traffic, whatever you want to call him, that horse, he didn't even look like he was running. I mean, that was not a horse coming down the stretch. That horse he looked like he was already in his gallop out. I think there's another gear to Authentic that we have yet to see. I think the more time we get, I think this Derby now being in September only helps him. And I think he gets the lead, he holds on, and he never looks back. I think Johnny V is the perfect person to be on him. I think this is the trip and the horse that we've been waiting to see for a long time. I think Authentic wins.
And Authentic, I mean, let's just think, and I know I'll get killed about saying this, but once again, if there's horses like Arrogate, that if the Derby was in September, what kind of a different horse he was. I mean, Authentic, obviously a little showier at 4 out of 5. It's a little showier, but who knows if he all of a sudden isn't that horse. We all know what Arrogate did when he broke dead last in the Saudi Derby or Dubai. Broke dead last, was supposed to go to the lead, kind of like that. Not saying he was ever short as what they say Authentic, and came from behind. I think Authentic could be that special horse that Arrogate maybe is, but we'll see. Because, or he's going to be a straight miler. And that's it. And then like,
be his distance.
it's going to be like one of those things. He's either going to be like right on board with being like, okay, he's got a shot at the Classic. And those were our top moments, I guess, that we remember. Because we've had so many, honestly. I mean, I'm being
We've done
serious.
a lot. We've had so much fun, and it's been an honor to have all these guests. And some of these guests you have been following since, I don't know, start of TVG.
Yeah, it was great to have everybody on. We could do so many of these takes for everybody. These are the top whatever we've come up with.
It's definitely been an honor to have everybody on our
Everybody
show.
from, the guys at Twin Spires to Brisnet to Timeform to, we've had Naira, everybody. It's been great. And we could do this for 10 hours of our cuts of these people. And we appreciate all of them. And those are our top moments. So before we go, though, let's talk about horses that made an impact on us. Let's do our top 5, which we talked about a little bit. But let's do that. The top 5 horses this year that we just think should be talked about for what they did. AJ, you want to start this?
Well, if we're going number 1, I think there's no doubt here, the horse of the year this year, Authentic. From the Haskell to the Kentucky Derby, he lost at the Santa Anita Derby on RIP, came back, won the Haskell, shocked everybody at the Derby, dipped at the Preakness, and then again he was kind of written off at the Breeders' Cup Classic. And what did he do? He came back the same way he did, when we watched him at Churchill and did the same thing again. And like, why would we be surprised? But Authentic's got to be the undeniable number 1.
Yeah, I agree with that. The head case.
4th horse in history to win the Derby and the Breeders' Cup Classic in the same year.
Yeah, and the head case 3-year-old that we watched bounce off a
Bounce
rail.
off the
I've
rail,
talked about it
go to the
100
carving
times.
station, and then somehow wins the Derby and the Classic.
Hence why we relate to this horse so much.
Yeah, because he's just not right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Now that he's
100%.
retired, we should see if he wants to be on our show.
Authentic. That was an easy one. So I'll go to one that I feel like is incredibly underrated. And I'm going to talk about Monomoy Girl. I think Monomoy Girl coming back after missing a year, coming back, winning the distance in 2018 and this year in 2020. And we don't people aren't talking about the fact of if she has a really good season this season, which she's going to run, and maybe she runs it next year. We're talking her record isn't that far off Zenyatta's, which I know everybody's going to get mad about this one.
Boy,
Better competition, I believe she's had.
You might
And
have
if she could
stricken
come
her-
back and possibly, do you think this horse could go to the Classic and possibly go? Why not?
Why
You
not?
dominated the distaff. She buried Swiss Skydiver. That was just, we're talking
That was
about
an
a
incredible
wonder horse
performance.
that really nobody talks about. And I'm going to go with that with Monomoy Girl coming back. I don't know if they have a comeback horse of the year, but how would this horse not win it? I know she's going to win the other Eclipse Awards, but there should be a comeback horse of the year, and this horse should get it.
Yeah.
I just think Monomoy Girl. That's one for me.
I think it's a definite comeback horse. Well, another horse I thought was a very interesting and intriguing horse to watch this year was Whitmore. And we got to shout out to Big Gary on Whitmore because of his call for the Breeders' Cup Sprint this year.
Whitmore is going to be my top pick. His last race was just a prep race at the Phoenix at Keeneland. And he finished 3rd last year in the sprint behind Matoli and Chancellor. And those 2 horses, as far as I'm concerned, are better than anything in this race. And the fact that he ran 3rd against them last year, I think he's got a real big shot. He worked 46-4 at Churchill last week. So he's razor sharp right now, and I think he's sitting on a big race. I mean, this is the fourth year in a row he's been in the sprint. So I think he's finally going to break through, and he's certainly going to be a price. But he likes the track. There's no doubt about it. And I think if you watch his last race, you can see that, and I think the trainer said it was, pretty much of a prep for him. So I'm looking forward to him running really big. Probably from I'm guessing it'll probably be 3 or 4 lengths off the lead and then make a big run.
And Jasper Prince is joined on the outside by Empire of Gold, who takes the lead as they arrive into the final furlong. Empire of Gold, here's Whitmore running after him on the outside. Whitmore has taken the lead. CZ Rocket on the outside up into second lane, but the old man's gonna do it. It's Whitmore in the Breeders' Cup Sprint.
He's had 6 starts this year, and he's hit the board 4 out of those 6 starts. That's really impressive for a 7-year-old horse.
Well, the way he won the Breeders' Cup Sprint was, there was nobody in the world that was beating him.
No.
That day. I mean, he exploded coming that was like he got shot out of a cannon. And that wasn't a weak sprint field. I mean, that was one of the most impressive, I think Vic said that. One of the most impressive Breeders' Cup sprints he's ever seen. All right. AJ, what about you? Another horse?
Well, rolling in at number 4. Now, obviously, there's another filly in this 3-year-old crop that I would have preferred to have had in this conversation. But let's give credit where credit is due, because I do think the year Swiss Skydiver had, starting from not only winning the San Diego Oaks, but then going to the Bluegrass and giving Art Collector a run for his money, who at one time Art Collector was one of the hottest horses in the country.
Oh yeah.
And it's right at that time especially when he won the Bluegrass and she came in second, moved on to, the Kentucky Oaks, where she just ran into a She Dares the Devil, who ran outside of her mind that day, setting, the Oaks record, and she just managed to finish second, but not by far. So you could look at those 2 races and think like, well, it's a good year, tough year. But then after, all that happened, coming into the Preakness and Authentic coming off of his Derby win and then just shocking everybody outside of Wendy Oriole, shocking everybody and pulling off, the last filly to win the Preakness outside of Rachel. I mean, it was just a crazy moment in time. And I think that win alone, plus the Alabama and everything else she ran in the whole year, I think the year she put together it deserves to be talked about, and I think deserves to be on the list.
Yeah, I agree. So many different tracks. So many. She ran hard all the time. 6th filly to win the Preakness.
Tough filly, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, she showed her true grit. I'm going to go right on. And I know AJ doesn't want me to talk about this horse.
Oh boy.
But we have to, like you said, AJ, credit where credit is due. A horse that made his mark. And today we actually learned, as we're taping, has retired. And that is Tiz the Law. I don't know if I'm talking about Tiz the Law so much as just the country got behind this horse. People got into it.
It's a lot of New York pride with this horse.
Yeah.
And from the beginning, he had a very incredible start to his career, or his 3-year-old career here.
Yeah, terrible way to end it, even in the sense of that's fine that you got beat by Authentic. But, Manny Franco again bounced off of him. And now that he's not even running again, so it's kind of like you just kind of pissed off Manny Franco where you didn't have to.
Yeah.
But I don't think, I just think he was a great 3-year-old, but I think he ran against a better 3-year-old, and that's what it is. But he did capture the hearts and minds of a lot of people out there. Mm-hmm. So I got to give him his due if we're going to go at number 5. Obviously, Authentic's 1 and he's 5, just so everybody knows. But I think Tiz the Law is definitely has to be talked about when it comes to this conversation.
I agree. He definitely deserves to be in the top 5 horses that have impacted us this year. especially AJ. AJ grew such a deep-seated hate with this horse.
Such a fond memories I'll have of this horse. But no, you're right. Did capture one of the jewels of the Triple Crown and won the Travers. I mean, it's hard to argue when you look at years from now. You're gonna remember that stretch duel at the Derby with Authentic, and you're gonna remember him winning the Belmont and him winning the Travers. Pretty impressively,
always getting
in
a
both of
perfect
those.
trip.
So it is what it is. But you're right. I think when you look at 2020 horses, it's hard to make a list and leave him off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, that's our 5. Check it out, everybody. And thank you to everybody out there that watches. If you're just watching now, then watch our other stuff because we have a lot of content out there, and we will be coming out with some new stuff.
And not all of it's good. Just throwing it out there.
We just gotta forewarn you.
Mostly
no,
bad.
it's not.
But there's a lot of it.
Yeah.
And you create more and you hit one.
We just keep going.
We actually, you can watch the evolution of us. We actually get worse throughout.
It's crazy.
Which is pretty.
People are supposed to be getting better, but the more and more that we do it, it just goes down the tube. So stay tuned for 2021, where it's just gonna get even worse than this. So
the age-old adage of practice makes perfect. We take that and we say,
we
"Fuck
destroy
you."
it. Yeah, we
no.
screw that
We
up.
do. How like people like to look at a train wreck? Keep watching, guys.
We are the
Keep
train
watching.
wreck. Yes.
And the conductor is there,
Oh,
AJ
boy.
Ryder. But special shout out to everybody that's been involved with us. Thank you.
And a special shout out to our underground clown, Jason Casa, who helps us out behind the scenes.
Yep.
I know people don't always know that, but he's there. He's another clown of ours.
Pops his head in.
He's smart enough to not show his face
I
around
know.
us mostly, so
we
he
miss
won't
you,
get
Jason.
tomatoes thrown at him.
We get it. But no, thank you guys for coming along our journey and being fans of ours, because if this isn't for you guys, we wouldn't probably be able to do this. So, but hit that subscribe button, let your friends know, help us keep moving, and stay tuned for 2021. Like Randy said, we have an pretty intriguing
We do a lot
lineup
of
going
different
to
things.
happen. Yeah. We're switching it up a little bit.
Maybe.
You
Still
know.
be shit.
Yeah. But definitely we survived 2020.
So far,
So I know.
a couple days left.
Well, let's hold our breaths.
Look, y'all are gamblers out there, so take a shot here, and it might be good, it might suck. You never know. So tune
There
in
we
and find
go.
out.
Yes. Well, and Happy New Year's to everybody.
Happy New Year. See you later, 2020.
Triple Clowns is a production of the team at Big Umbrella. Rate and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts. Send us your questions at tripleclowns@gmail.com, and you may be featured on a future episode. Follow us on social media at ClownsTriple on Twitter and Instagram, and follow me, AJ Ryder, at Troy McLean WWE on Twitter. Like and subscribe to our show on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or wherever fine podcasts are downloaded. All right, guys, for AJ Ryder, I'm out of here. See you later, everybody.